Thank you very much, Robert. Ladies and gentlemen, all participants and also students that join us for the third day of the Summer School 2021, welcome back. And today we are going to have Master and Doctoral Colloquium, where we are going to listen and also learn the research of 6 presenters that all will present to us, the background of their research and also the progress. And also they will have the opportunities to be evaluated or guided by a panel of experienced researchers and practitioners who have joined us today. So before we continue, I would like to mention 3 panelists that join us for today. First one is Borna Gurik from Zagreb University. And then we have Ariska Warganegara from Lampung University. And lastly, we have Dr. Intan Fitri Mautia from Lampung University as well. I just want to check if all panelists are present.
They are.
I'm present.
Yes,
thank you very much. Okay, thank you very much. Then we are going to start with the presentation. The first presentation will be from Dian Kagungan. Mbak Dian, are you present? Yeah. I haven't seen him. I haven't seen her. I don't think she is with us yet. So maybe to move with the program, I'm going to call for the second presenter. Or probably before, while we are still waiting, I would like to ask the 3 panelists for today to kind of provide a little bit of introduction of what you're going to see in the presentation, what you're going to evaluate, etc. Please, probably first from Mr. Borna. Time is yours.
Well, hello, everyone. Since we're waiting for our colleague, we can give her a couple of minutes because according to schedule, we're starting at 9:05. Well, my main points, what I'm going to evaluate is methodology. First and foremost, research questions, are they well written or well asked, hypothesis, and I will probably mostly also focus on variables, dependent and independent variables. How are they actually going to conduct research and what are they going to follow? So this kind of things are, for me, at least, most important for PhD students. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Borna. Next, Mr. Ariska.
Thank you very much, Jaya. Yeah, thank you very much, Jaya, and thank you very much for having me and giving me opportunity to share my experience in providing such kind of good proposals. My aims to join this colloquium is just to provide and to reflect my reflections, my past reflections as the PhD student in the United Kingdom, and I think there's a lot of experience that I can share to this forum, and especially not to evaluate, but some such kind like giving like a suggestion for you guys to make your proposal are more reliable and more realistic in terms of timeline and in terms of how to achieve your proposal goals. And I think I'm not tends to be supervisor or teacher in this forum. I just want to share my past experience, and I think all of the participants in this forum can provide your suggestion and comment, not only limited from 3 of us, but also from all the participants in this forum. Thank you, Yaya.
Thank you very much, Pak Ariska. And lastly, we have Ibu Intan. please explain us a bit further what you're going to see today.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. So it seems like Ariska told that this is not a kind of judgment whether you're wrong or right, but mostly this is about the sharing season and how we try to improve the research of the people who gonna be present their paper, and also how to making their critical framework more work out and more understandable for the society, I think, because it's a kind of having a seminar, how to you try to disseminate, you try to have a dissemination for your own paper and try to let people know this research is interesting and what you're going to find out. So we'll dig up more about their research. So this is not a kind of judgment, but more likely a sharing season, I think. Thank you, Yaya. That's it out.
Thank you very much, Bu Intan. And now we already have our first presenter ready. Hello, Mbak Dian. Hello, Mbak Dian. Mbak Dian, can you hear my voice?
Yeah. Yes, I hear.
Yeah. Are you ready?
Yes, ready.
Okay. So all presenters today will have 20 minutes in total. So 10 minutes for presentation and the other 10 minutes for discussion with the panelists as well as with the participants. So if within those 10 minutes, the panelists already finished giving their comments, etc., then the rest of the participants can also provide comments, questions, or anything to the presenter. Then I'm going to give the time to you, Bu Dian. You can now share your screen. Bu Dian, you're still in mute.
Belum ya? Sudah? Sudah tampil? Belum tampil? Belum. Coba kita. Di sini udah tampil.
Bu Dian, do you have any technical difficulties? I can help you to share your presentation if you need my help. Okay.
Sudah?
Di-unmute, Bu. Udah di-unmute.
Sudah. Thank you, Mbak Yaya. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for Moms Ari for giving me the opportunity. Let me introduce myself, Dian Kabungan, from FISIP University of Lampung, from Doctoral Development Study Program, FISIP Universitas Lampung, Indonesia. And what I'd like to do today is present about innovation of new autonomous region development policy, implementation of smart rural model for tourism village development in Indonesia. Submit as a proposal, doctoral program dissertation, FISIP Development Study, University of Lampung. That's all I have to say about. If you have, for this presentation, first background of research, second smart rural model, and third literature review. Introduction, the poor population is very large in rural areas in Lampung province. Make the government more focused and continuous be most in tackling poverty, integrated with various rural basement improvement programs. The presentation Lampung Province recorded until September 2020 is 12.76%. The study of the construction of the village is popular in political and government. Smart rural is defined as a rural area that is built sustainably with a potential specialization, technology utilization, and bottom-up planning process to improve the recorded concept. The application of smart rural has never been done. There is still studies and practice in the application of smart rural. In recent years, the concept of smart rural is being developed in Europe through a project called Toward a Smart Rural Europe. Pesawaran District made an innovation smart village aim at village development in order to increase local independence through the improvement of village owned enterprises all. Village movement program to participate in Prosperity Gadis. Pesawaran Regency government also makes policy innovation in the field of tourism. The program One Village, One Destination, One Village, One Tourist Destination. Smart Village, same development of the smart city concept, which creates an independent and smart village and is able to overcome the problems of the village through empowerment activities carried out. Next. The smart rural model is defined as a rural area that is built sustainably a potential specialization approach. The use of technology and a bottom-up planning process to improve the regional economy. What is meant by rural areas, villages that are administratively adjacent to one or more sub-districts in a district or city. The smart rural model for the context of rural area development in Indonesia can be developed through an ecosystem approach that integrates between components or dimensions. 1. Resources. 2. Institutions. 3. Technology. 4. Local economic potential-based service chains. And 5. Sustainability. Next, the empowerment process scenario that will be carried out in Indonesia. Research on smart village has begun to be widely carried out, but research on smart rural has never been carried out. The discussion of smart rural becomes an interesting study for two reasons. First, this is a new study which will enrich other studies on village, in particular, studies on village innovation. Second, the challenge of applying the smart rural model is deep the development of rural areas in Indonesia. Is the still weak network of cooperation between village? In development of rural areas, while the application of this smart rural model is applied requires collaborative governance across multiple institutions. There are still many gaps between theoretical studies and practice in the application of smart rural, especially regarding the readiness of rural areas to meet the requirements. Therefore, this study will try to look at the development of smart rural in Pesawaran district with a focus on the development of smart rural-based ecotourism in Sungai Langka Village, Tuluk Pandan District, and Gunung Rejo Village, District Wairatai. Literature review. This research will focus more on discussing research related to policy theory in general, the concept of smart rural models, and the concept of sustainable tourism, including empowerment activities carried out, but from the latest national and international books and journals. This research uses a qualitative method approach, a qualitative approach is used to describe the application of the smart role model concept in the role area selected as the research location. Gunung Rejo Tourist Village, Wairate District, and Sumelangka Tourist Village, Teluk Pandan District. Qualitative research is a set of investigative techniques whose use is widespread that seek to describe events or phenomena according to facts that occur the research site. That is data produced in the form of written or spoken words from people and observable behavior. Through the described qualitative approach, the researcher intends to carry out an objective representation of the symptoms contained in the research problem, namely the application of smart role model for the development of a tourist village through the empowerment activities that will be carried out. And this is focus research and kerangka theory. Method of collecting data. Data collecting was carried out through interview with key informant, FGD, documentation studies, and field observation or visit rooming. Data analysis, Miles and Haberman in Sugiono 2006. They suggest that the activity in data analysis is carried out interactively and continues to completion so that the data is saturated. In qualitative research, the stage of data analysis include data redaction. Next. Oke, terima kasih. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ibu Dian. And now I would like to give the time to the panelists to provide some input or comments about the presentation. Probably starting from Ibu Intan first.
Okay, thank you, Mbak Yaya. Hello, Bu Dian. Well, actually, Bu Dian is one of my senior, and she also has an expertise in environmental research for more than 20 years, I think. So it's a bit hard to have to give in a little bit of suggestion, but I do believe to what we try to make it more better. What I become make a small attention is on the innovation word. I do think that this is a bit bulky since there's a lot of theory was put inside, such as a policy, collaborative governance, also natural tourism, smart village, and also community-based tourism. And I do believe if the research tries to make it more focused in one system, neither is about the collaborative government policy in creating the smart village, or more likely to move it into the community-based tourism, because it's a kind of a different situation, I think, that tried to explore by the researcher. But however, I do believe that the research background is already giving a much more information. Maybe the researcher is better to more focusing or choosing which one that she would like to explore more. I think it's enough. Thank you, Yaya.
Thank you, Ibu Intan. And then I would like to give the time to Borna to provide comments as well.
Give me a second. I'm fighting with this mute button. So, I have to really commend the thesis because, as Dian said, innovation is, she's doing, as I understood, innovation of village studies. And innovation is one of the most important reasons we are actually doing any PhD or any type of scientific research. But I would like to ask a question. Because I didn't understand completely. Is it more of a theoretical or an empirical study?
Ibu Dian, you can answer it directly.
Theoretic study.
Theoretic study.
No, so it's more of a theoretical study because, as understood, there is also some type of qualitative methodology, especially interviews. One of the things I would like to point out, because something I didn't completely understand from this presentation, are research questions. A research question should be one or more of them, but probably just one because it's easier to answer that. Clearly posted, clearly stated, and there should also be a clear, even though it's maybe a qualitative study that it's more descriptive, there should be a clearly stated hypothesis. What are you actually trying to prove with this study? So these are two comments from me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Borna. And lastly, we have Mr. Ariska.
Yeah. Are you hearing me? Yeah. Okay. Okay. My concern is how we try to construct our proposals. That's my concern because it's really important. The way we construct our proposal will impact on our result or our findings. So I mean, from Bu Dian, what I see is I think Bu Dian need to make giving such kind of understanding first. What is the basic definition that Bu Dian wants to use in this project? I mean, you have to make a distinctive definition between the rural village and smart rural village, and what is difference between them. And everyone who then read your proposal, especially for the non-specialist reader, will then understand that your research is not about rural village only, but you want to do a research in a smart rural village area. So I mean, the definition need to be put first and need to be defined first in your the whole in the context of your whole proposal projects. And secondly, I think in terms of method, what I see is this kind of research is cannot only done by only a single qualitative assessment, and I think you need also quantitative assessment. And I would suggest to you that why don't you try to read some books on mixed method, how to do a mixed method and how to doing research using mixed methods ways. And I think if you use the mixed method, the finding of your research will be more I mean, and give and you can portray what happened on the ground rather than you just only using a single method, quantitative assessment, for instance, and to give this how to answer question in, because each of your research question need different kind of methodology. For instance, if I see that your first research question maybe can be answered only by using qualitative assessment, but for the second and the third one, I don't think that it is only it can be only using qualitative assessment. So that back to my previous suggestion, I think Bu Dian need to consider using qualitative in this context, to try more next method.
Ariska, I think we lost your voice. Can you hear us? Okay, it seems like Mr. Ariska have some kind of connection issues. While we're still waiting for him joining us again, Ibu Dian, do you have any comments on the previous questions or input from the panelists? If you do, please do so.
Thank you, Mbak Yaya. I will try to answer. Smart rural is defined as a rural area that is built sustainability with a potential specialization approach, technology utilization, and bottom-up planning process to improve the region's economy. As a new concept, the application of smart rural has never been done.
Thank you, Bu Dian. So I will just probably repeat some of the comments mentioned by Pak Ariska about the use of not only qualitative approach, but also mixed methodology. Do you have any comments on that?
Yes, I accept. I will try
to research it again.
to research it again.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much, Ibu Dian. Do you have any other comments before we close your session?
I think it's enough, Mbak Yaya.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much, Ibu Dian. And now we are going to invite the next presenter, Mario Preos. Mr. Mario.
Good morning, everyone. Mario Preos from University of Zagreb, Faculty of Political Science. Today, the topic that I choose is connected with the platform that we are using. It's not in the big phase of research, so it's in a preliminary phase. I choose one for me interesting topic. So everything is open for discussion afterwards. You will see how I look on this. I think interesting thing. Do you see the screen? Is a screen available?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So the topic is influence and role of video teleconferencing in maintaining social communication during COVID-19 pandemic time. One of the essential tools that public and private and business sector uses in everyday life. I divided this content with a little introduction, review of the short history, because everyone thinks about these platforms that they are new one and that maybe from the 2000s, but it's a thing that has a longer history. The main part will be influence and role of VCs in the time of pandemic. I will share my thoughts about the disadvantages of VCs and questions that rise, something about trends, and a little conclusion. So context where came the, I should say, hype of using of these platforms started with the COVID and distance restrictions, isolation measures, lockdowns. It affected the firms, the schooling system, and regular people. It was a challenge for the social part of life and communication. As Aristotle said a long time ago, men are social animals. They cannot live with the social interaction. And this was a pretty useful thing that pop in digital technology pop in. So main challenge was how to maintain communications, and that was the great thing to maintain it. What are the main advantages? It's available, not in comparison with the previous times. It's affordable for general public, especially applications on the cell phones, etc. And of course, saves money and resources. When we say resources, the simple example is you don't need to ride with your car to go on some conference and make pollution. You stay in your home and have conference. On the left side, we see the Zoom platform and how it rised in the last couple of years. About something about the history, the concept that we can share with the was mentioned at the end of the 19th centuries, but there was no such technology that can provide that kind of communication. But pretty early later, in 1936, first public video telephone, single one, was built between Berlin and Leipzig. After that, it was a long period without any firm to build something. During the 50s and 60s, there was researchers, but technology wasn't developed to give that on the market on the big scale. The first useful system was built in 1964, a picture phone by AT&T. And later we have improvement with the service in 70s, and the one turn point was in the 1991, and IBM first based video conferencing, and it started on the bigger scale. Big firms, enterprise started to use it more. With the invention with the internet, of course, it became more spread thing. And popularization came in the 2000, and of course, now in 2020, rapid growth during the COVID-19 pandemic. So what that technology gave us in the time of pandemic, it enabled business of continuity and economy. It was the main thing which affected. Enabled also the continuity of systems, government, schooling system especially, and increased productivity of employees. When we say that, it's mainly because people stayed in the comfortable environment, home environment, and started to look different on the job that they are doing. Of course, collaboration of personnel within firms enable communication during real-time activities, speed up decision making, and we got a new cultural and working habits, like digital working force. So to sum up this slide, it was on the economic, social, psychological, and physical influence. on the left side, we see the main providers, main firms which offer the video conferencing system, and on what scale it was in July 2020. What are the disadvantages and questions that I raised? Of course, like with all technology, there are some negative influence and disadvantages. The personal touch, which is very important in daily communication and life, you cannot get it from that technology, of course. Some said it is about coldness of technology, because you are gazed in a screen. It's very uniform, not such warm place, warm thing. So I quote here one good quote about the face-to-face contact, what it provides in daily life. What came with that technology? Possibility of social isolation and anxiety. We all know that sometimes people who are so much on these platforms and using computers, I can mention computer personnel, programmers. From the past, we see them as a little bit different in a communication. And now we have a great amount of people who are very much involved in this, and during the day stay in front of the screen. And from psychology, they started researches about the fatigue from often usage, and it's called Zoom fatigue. Also, they started to research different habits. On the left side, there is one little research about difference with men and women in using the Zoom. You can see on the left side. What are the other disadvantages? Mainly security issues and cyber threats, like all other softwares and other platforms. You always have possibility to have unauthorized access, and we also have name Zoom bombings for that, non-secure data transmission, malware spreading, and apps vulnerabilities, special apps which came from not so big firms, and zero-day vulnerabilities. Those are connected with factory bugs and things that can be in the platforms. Here we have one little diagram which shows threats on platforms like Zoom, Teams, WebEx, Hi5, and etc. What are trends and what can we see and predict in future? What researchers put on it? Of course, great growth of production of the platforms and usage. They mention especially Asian Pacific region, so including Japan, South Korea, India, China, and etc. So we can predict a lot of growth in the production and a number of users of the platforms. To conclude, provided as a useful tool. And as we mentioned, in comparison to the time before pandemic, usage rise greatly. Markets of video conference apps are in a constant growth. Main disadvantages are related to security and psychological and physical area. Users must be aware of the VCS limitation, and of course, personal contacts face-to-face cannot be replaced with this technology. One thinking for the research that I think to check economic side of the platforms, psychological and physical. The quantitative methodology, I think, would be a good one, and some example of the users will be very useful for to have representative result. I'm open for your questions and suggestions. Thank you for your attention. And this is my contact. I'm giving to the moderator.
Thank you very much, Mario. So we actually have one question in the chat section from the participant. However, we are going to the panelists first. I would like to call for Borna to provide your comment and suggestion.
Well, I would like to ask a couple of questions. You gave us your presentation. You said it's only in an early stage of the research. One of the things I would like to ask is, what is the problem you're trying to solve with this research? What is the main problem that is the center of this research? Then again, what is the research question that's coming from this problem? And what is your hypothesis? You said you're going to use quantitative methods. Can you maybe expand on what kind of quantitative methods you're going to use? You're going to use polls or something else, or some data collection that you're then gonna analyze through one of the softwares, for instance? What type of software? And what is the hypothesis? What are you trying to prove with this? That these things should be stated clearly eventually.
Thank you for your question. The main hypothesis would be in this preliminary phase that this tool can draw people from the social normal social contact, so degrade the social contact in your regular life among all benefits, so degrade your social communication and sometimes and physical health, depending on the time that you're spending on this. We say simply eyes glazing in the screen. As you mentioned, pools among some control, some chosen population would be good. In this moment, I didn't choose software, but of course, it would be useful to check all data from the internet and platforms, and especially usage of platforms by namely. So Zoom, WebEx, a couple of the main. So to compare usage, compare the population, and maybe interviews to see that physical and psychological side of that. Thank you.
Thank you for your answer.
Do you have further comments or?
No, not at this time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Then I will ask Pak Ariska to provide your comments and suggestions.
Thank you, Yaya. I really love this research because I think pandemic give us a lot of opportunity to make a good research in the future. And Mario, I appreciate that you want to make a research based on what we have today's the impact of the pandemic COVID-19. But I think I have some short question to you, and it's not such kind of clarification, but I think I just need your further explanation on particular issues that I want to address to you. First is about your studies using quantitative method. Is it correct, Mario?
Yes.
Yeah. And then if you using the quantitative method, the things that you have to understand first is about you want to measure the influence, the impact of X to Y. And then based on that, I think the most important thing is you have to answer first what kind of things that you want to assess or that you want to measure. I wonder maybe you can focus on the social impacts rather than psychological impacts, because if you playing around the psychological impacts, your research will be your research will be focused on the human relation rather than social interaction, while we're discussing about video conferencing is about social interaction. Is it correct? That is my understanding, Mario. So I think the social be more valuable to be assessed by your research rather than only psychological or behavioral impacts. That's the first one. The second one is, I think when it comes to make an assessment, I think what kind of platform that you want to assess, because we have so many video conferencing platform nowadays. We have a Zoom, we have WebEx, we have Google Meet, and etc. etc. So the ones that I'm worried is about if you are discussing too much about video conferencing, someone will realize that what kind of platform that you want to focus on. That's very important because each of the platform has different style, has different impact, and has different user. For instance, somebody who wants to get a cheap price, or let's say the cheapest one, they will choose the Zoom rather than WebEx or Google Meet. But someone who wants to make sure that they get more secure services from the platform, they will choose, let's say, Google Meet or WebEx, for instance. So I think the second, my second suggestion to you is, so please choose what kind of platform that you want to focus on your research. And the last one is not about suggestion, but you have one interesting statement that you said the video conferencings result in more productivity of the employee, but you haven't discussed to us what kind of productivity of employee, because some of the employee also got psychological problem because of the work from home using teleconferencing from like a Zoom or anything. So please give us more explanation on what kind of productivity that you mentioned in your presentation. Thank you, Yaya. That's my comment.
Thank you for your great suggestions. I will surely use it. And you correctly mentioned the productivity. So we have like on the scale, on the one side, gives good things for firms, because some employees which many years work in the office started to work in the home, and they changed the attitude towards firm and their identification with the firm. And on the other side, we have people who cannot bear with this kind of communication. They used to interaction on a daily basis, from the coffee breaks, from lunch and conversations. So a couple of dimensions are here, and thank you. You raise the social dimension. It's very important. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. And lastly, I would like to invite Mbak Intan to provide your comments.
Thank you, Mbak Yaya. Rio, congratulations, you got the novelty. Everybody using video conference right now, even we are using video conference. However, I do believe there is some thing that needs to be added to your proposal, such as I don't find any limitation of your research. Where do you want to put your research on, the population on it? Because I do believe the nature of society is kind of different when you do research in Asia and when you do research in Europe. Both of the nature of the society is kind of different. And then another question is that you want to using the quantitative method. I think, is it a T analysis that a best and before the situation is a kind of different, and you try to make the quantitative action on it, or what kind of analysis that you're going to use? And then how you define the indicator of the questionnaire that you're going to share to your sample. And from my perspective of studies that I was come from the public administration, right now we're talking about more likely digital management, digital right management. How about the coffee infringement between government employee in sharing data, especially on open government policy? Maybe you could edit it if you love to. It's still, I think it's still on the track of the social science research if you want to try on. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you for your questions. If I got all correctly, I had some difficulty with the communication. We will focus on some representative group. I would choose the younger, maybe from 25 to 40. That specimen for you mentioned the regulations. I'll try to use what's available, and with the firms and people who are open for the interviews. They will be in a form of questionnaires. Maybe if I will be able, I will make some interviews, but I will make a representative form of questions, and I will compare how much users on some platform in Croatia, and try to take a representative percentage of users and their experience and so on. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mario. And we have questions in the chat section from Ibu Ari. She is asking if you will have data regarding overexploitation of workers or employees by the employers, such as meetings at inappropriate times, weekends, etc.
Great point from Ari. Not right now. She put the right point, because some firms, I saw some random data using that to have employee not 8 hours available, but 10, 20, and more. So when technology offers firms availability of the workers, some of them misuse it, and of course we have the measure of exploitation. Yeah, but right now I don't have precise data, and it can be one part of the research. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Mario. And now we are going to move on to the next presenter, Mr. Fuad Abdul Ghani.
Okay.
Mr. Fuad? Okay, you may.
Okay, I will start my presentation and I will share the slides first. Sorry. Can you see my slides?
Yes.
Okay. So good afternoon, everyone. First of all, I would like to say thank you to the community summer school, the moderator, the panelists, and all of the participants. And I will be presenting my research proposal, which I propose for pursuing a PhD program. Hopefully, this study is a continuation of my previous research about sagu palm and the green economy in West Papua conducted in 2017. At the time, I was doing field work among the Kais people. It is one of the indigenous people that live in the natural sagu forest of West Papua for about 6 months. And okay, the experience of doing fieldwork in 2017 has opened the opportunity for me to get to know more about sagu and its development within the contemporary Indonesian agri-food policy and practices. One of the interesting things is that the sagu palm and its environment could serve a great contribution as alternative food resources, while environmentally its production is very eco-friendly. So let me introduce you all to the eastern part of Indonesia, where the research is being conducted. It is located precisely in the West Papua province, as you can see in the map on the picture on the left. Here I want to give an overview of the place where the sagu palm has its origin. So Indonesia is a country with the largest natural sagu forest area in the world. The sagu forest itself stands above the swamp peatland soil, where its role is acknowledged to be crucial for climate change mitigation. According to agronomist Michel Flach, the total natural sagu forest in Indonesia reaches 1.25 million hectares, where the largest part of it consists of 1.2 million hectares located in Papua. In fact, regarding its large, the utilization of sagu as a food resource in Indonesia has only reached approximately 5 to 6% of its total resources. Even though sagu palm has higher productivity, since it could produce 150 until 300 kilograms sagu starch for each stand. It only needs 1 million hectares of land to produce 30 million tons of sagu starch, while it takes 12 million hectares of land to produce rice in the same quantity. So sagu have much higher productivity comparing to rice, corn, and cassava. And for the Papuan, the indigenous people live in the Papua Island, especially those who live in the swamp peatland areas. Sagu is not only become their main staple food, but more than that, the existence of sagu is central to their sociality and culture. And Papua Island is also claimed as a place of origin of the genetic diversity of sagu palm. Then The enormous potential of sagu, notably for food production, has attracted the government and private sector to develop this climate-resilient plant. Since 2009, the industrialization of sagu in Papua has been started, marked by the release of 44,000 hectare concession to the INJ Agri Group. As you can see, the picture of the factory milk processing is on the right. And previously, the INJ Group has acknowledged as one of the biggest company in the oil palm industry. The release of the sagu concession then continues in 2012 when PT Perhutani received a 16,000 hectare concession. The two companies have claimed that they own the biggest sagu milk processing factory in the world. No wonder that President Joko Widodo is very confident, as he stated that the development of sagu palm could achieve national food sovereignty. The president's statement is in line with what Dr. Isao Nagato, the president of the Sagu Palm Society, that is a world first leading sagu research group based in Japan, where he stated that the sagu would be a solution for the possible food crisis in the future. Now I turn to the next slide. And my entry point to the problem proposed in this research is food security discourse. There are several perspectives in this field, but the dominant ones are the productivism perspective. The productivism perspective propounds that increasing food production is an essential solution to overcome the food crisis and reduce hunger. This perspective includes the need for developing production and utilization of neglected and underutilized species as alternative food resource. Due to their high potential contribution to global food security, sagu palm was identified as one of the most promising underutilized crops. The cultivation of sagu palm fits within a vision of sustainable agriculture because the crop could provide a high quantity of carbohydrate, could serve a various purpose as raw material for agro-industry, and its paludiculture management could maintain the peatland soil, which is essential for carbon storage, thus minimalizing greenhouse gas emission. Having mentioned the economic and environmental aspect and prospect of sagu production, this research will focus more with the social aspect. Understanding the development of the sagu industry that promises a sustainable development, of course, cannot be separated from its social dimension accounts related to how the development is socially organized. For instance, how the actors, various kinds of social groups with their different positions, power, interest, and orientation interrelated each other in governing the same natural resources that is sagu palm. As a consequence, the assessment of the sustainability, of course, has to incorporate the social organizational aspect. And now I turn to my research question. And despite its sustainability prospect based on economic and environmental accounts, it seems that the social dimension has been appearing as a central problem in realizing the sustainability vision of its development. On the one hand, sagu gatherer communities, the indigenous people who live in the natural sagu forest, often seen as marginal people in marginal lands due to their geographical and harsh condition of their tropical swamp peatland environment, which prevents economic development and progress, thus placing them in a position of underdevelopment. On the other hand, the global and national concerns about food security and climate change have led the experts to find alternative solutions to achieve sustainable development, in which sagu palm cultivation finds its relevance. Previous research in different sagu palm growing regions, such as in Indonesia, Malaysia, and Papua New Guinea, identified that the main challenge in industrializing sagu production lied in the native population's lack of motivation in modernized production. The native population being traditionally minded, while their cultural disposition and mindset would cause their incompetence to meet the industry needs. Nonetheless, views associated with this modernization bias are challenged by data showing the impact of imposed industrial mechanism on the land tenure and labor process on the region. There are two different studies from West Papua, Sagu industry area, show that first, that are decreasing number of the types of customary land tenure rights within the indigenous communities due to the emerging of Sagu industry. The research held by Meki Sagrim, an anthropologist in University of Papua. And then the second research is, the research finding is the incorporation of native labor into the industrial labor process raised conflicts among the clan members related to the ownership of Sagu stand and customary land borders, based on my previous research. Nevertheless, the presented findings reveal the importance of examining the sustainability prospect from a social dimension rather than just economic or environmental per se. So based on those findings, I propose two questions. First, considering the traditional utilization of Sagu in a subsistence manner and the more recent push for its integration into intensive industrial system, how could indigenous community increase their level of food security if paradoxically their rights to resources or land have been undermined? The second question, how can sustainable development advocates favor the intensification of Sagu production if it causes in turn more competition among indigenous communities, thus disrupting their social cohesion? Furthermore, would industrial agri-food development in achieving national food security and feeding the world ensure eliminating food problems in the local context, thus delivering economic and social benefits for peoples who live in the site of extraction? So based on this notion and considering the centrality of the food issues in this case, understanding the social process and consequences that industrialization brings, particularly to the local or traditional food system managed by the indigenous population, was highly important.
Mr. Fuad, can you please shorten the presentation? Thank you very much.
Okay, I will turn to my objective. This is maybe the last one. The objective of my research, this research aims to assess the vision underlying the goal of achieving sustainable development through improved food security by agri-food industrialization. I will examine the underlying commodification process around Sagu palm production and the extent to which it reconfigures the local or traditional food system. To investigate the commodification process means that I have followed the Marxist political economy tradition respectively. I comprehend the industrialization as a specific social economic form of the capitalist mode of production, and consequently, to understand the industrialization within this perspective comprises the analysis of commodification at the heart of its problem domain. Thus, analyzing commodification would place a social relation of production as the main problem that have to be understood. The commodification, it is precisely in this point I address the need for understanding social dimension related to the sustainable development of Sagu industry. The commodification of Sagu palm in West Papua is operated in the context of a particular agri-food development policy that governs particular natural resources. I propose two arguments on this. First, following what John McCarthy and Christoph Obidzinski have argued about policy choices and its impact on people's livelihood, I argue that when Sagu development has been projected as national agri-food policy, it would release multiple effects on land, labor, and market relation. The second argument is that from the social ecological standpoint, it is important to understand the presence of industry as imposing external system management on local ecosystem that the native inhabitants have managed adequately for centuries. So in short, theoretically, the research proposes to document the industrialization process as a form of commodification of particular nature that implies transformation of social property relation related to land, labor, which then characterize the specific conjuncture of the transition to capitalism. Okay, at the last session, this is my methodology. I use political ecology as theoretical framework, and I will employ historical analysis and doing ethnographic fieldwork to gain the data. Thank you very much for the time. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Fuad. And now I would like to ask Bapak Ariska to provide your comments and suggestions. Bapak Ariska? Okay, maybe we'll start from Bu Intan first.
Yeah, thank you. Fuad, yes, it's a really interesting research proposal from you. Indonesia is so strong both in green economy and also in blue economy. I do think we have the same opinion. However, I have some thinking about how to protect the indigenous community. We could say as simple as we could blame the governance. However, we are part of it since the academic community is the one who gives suggestions to the governance. But if I'm not wrong, we do not have any policy which is stated that, first of all, we should protect the national consumption, and then we do expand the industrial system of our economy, especially in the green economy. And I do believe that maybe you could suggest what kind of a policy that should be made, not only in a sagu plantation, but also in other kind of green ecosystem. And then your second research question about social cohesion. Is it the competition is between the indigenous community or the indigenous community and the industrial community?
Thank you for your response and your question, Mbak Intan. Yep, I agree with you that until now, Indonesia has not have launched the policy to protect the indigenous people, and it is a long struggle, of course. But there are agrarian reform policy that ideally should have to protect the indigenous people land and their resource especially. But many research found that the implementation is not too clear in the field. So the situation maybe is not too good at all. And related to your second question about the competition, yes, it is indeed the presence of the industry has raised a competition within the members of the indigenous people. So in their socio-cultural system, the sagu stand is belong to each clan, and each clan have their territory and they have their own ownership, communal ownership to the sagu stand. So when the industry with their production target, because every factory have a production target, and the people is pushed to supply the sagu trunks on a daily basis and on the much higher quantity than before, it then turns to raise competition between the clans. I think that's all my response, Mbak Intan.
Okay, maybe the background of the competition between both of the indigenous communities based on the property rate of Papua community, right? It's below of the standard of our Indonesian communities, right? Maybe you could put it on your background, maybe.
Oh, okay, yeah. It could be put in the background.
Good luck for your research proposal. I hope this, in the end of the year, you're gonna hear the good news about your scholarship. Good luck to us. That's all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Wintan. And now I'd like to ask Borna to provide your comments.
Yeah, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Well, I really like what you said, that you're doing a lot of field work. Now, my question is, because you're currently trying to conduct your probably research, Has COVID-19 affected the fieldwork you're doing? And if the COVID-19 lasts for a little bit longer, how are you going to compensate for this type of fieldwork? Would it be possible or not? How you're doing that? And I have another question / suggestion regarding the food security discourse, and of course you said environmental discourse. And regarding also, this is connected to your theoretical framework. Have you actually considered doing discourse analysis or critical discourse analysis, which is actually a nice method that shows power relations when it comes to policymaking?
Okay. Okay, thank you for your interesting question, Borna. Okay, on your first response related to the COVID-19 condition, actually, I don't know how the condition in the field right now, but if I could assume, the location of the sagu industry area is located in the hinterland area. It is in the middle of the natural sagu forest, and it's very far from the city. And as far as I know, there are no COVID-19 cases reported on the location. And also the physical mobility from the people on the hamlet located in the natural sagu forest is on the low degree. They rarely go to the city except for trading. So I guess that there are good possibilities to still doing the field work in this time of pandemic. And related to your second response about the food security discourse, actually, I'm not thinking about doing a critical discourse analysis, but the things that appears on the top of my head is that I would propose a critique based on the empirical investigation, based on the inquiry related to how a certain policy and its practice impacted on land, labor, and market relation. So the empirical findings would be a basis for the critics to a certain policy, certain agri-food policy. But I think the idea to doing a critical discourse analysis, I think I will consider it very much to put it in my one of my analysis. I think it's that, Borna.
Thank you for your answer.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Borna. And now I would like to check with Pak Ariska. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
No, you can provide comments.
Yeah, first of all, we are really happy that you find your PhD path in the future, yeah. And we are happy that your research is also it's very good topic of research, especially for the PhD level. But you have to bear in your mind that you just only have 3 until 4 years for your study, for doing your research. And I do also believe that you have limited research funding. So this kind of things that must become in your mind before you are doing your PhD projects in the future. The secondly is I'm not really understand well what kind of theoretical approach that you want to use as the framework here to analyze the case of your study, because this is really important. Because when it comes to analyze how the power relations happens, you need a good understanding on theoretical approach. So would you please give us further explanation what kind of theoretical approach that you want to use in this project before I give a further comment?
Okay, thank you, Bang Ariska, for your response and comments. Basically, I much inspired from political economy thinking especially from one of the critical geographer, Noel Castre, where he wrote about and coined the concept about commodification of nature. So the main approach in here I use is the analysis of the commodity process. And in this regard, I also indebted to the theoretical insight from Alan Malskin Wood about the transformation of social property relation, related to land, labor, and the plants, of course, because the object is sagu palm. And honestly, I'm not. I still not. I have been not survey the political ecology literature, even that my research focuses address to the things, but I much gain for the political economy thinking. So far.
I mean, like we can provide a good proposal by making, by making a good literature review first. Then when you come to already like make assessment to many previous research that has been done, I think you can then found what is the research gap on your particular field of the research. And the secondly is about theoretical mindset. I do believe I'm a political geographer, and I also believe that some of the critical geographer, they doesn't believe about the industrialization can be mixed and matched or can be embedded with the project of sustainability.
Yep.
So I would suggest you critical approach as the anchor theory. I mean, as the anchor theory that you are unsure in this stage what kind of theory that you want to use, but at least you have some guidance from one of the that you use in this particular research. Then, if you making a research by using ethnographic, I think it would be more valuable rather than you using like the policy assessment or like a power relation or something like that, because you want to know about what is happen on the ground, why they are become poorer. As I understood that they become poorer because of the industrialization project. That's become what is yeah, that's become very funny, I think. Yeah, when we are discussing about industrialization, we cannot have something like, let's say, industrialization will create a good society, or making people surrounding the industrialization project will have a good livelihood or something like that. But in fact, in Papua, we have to understand that the industrialization project lead to make Papuan or local Papuan poorer. That's the fact. So I think you have to also consider about this kind of things. But thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. Can I comment your last response? Yeah, Bang Ariska, actually, my research is intent to give a critique about the sustainable development agendas, because the use of sustainable or sustainability words is become overwhelmed, and so there are the needs to critical assessment based on the ground process to assess or to investigate the effects of the certain development project based on through the ethnographic research. Yes, I agree with you, and thank you very much for your suggestion, Bang Ariska.
Thank you very much, Fuad, and thank you very much for all the panelists for the comments. And now we are going to continue to the next presenter. I would like to invite Putu Adi Permana Putra. You may present your research.
Okay, thank you for the moderator. So I will try to share screen. So, well, the moderator, can you see the screen?
Not yet.
I think, wait a moment.
Okay, now I can see it.
Okay. Okay, the screen is already on. Well, thank you for the special occasion that I got today. So good morning and good afternoon for all the participants and the panelists in this colloquium. So my name is Pramana. I am a student of master degree focus in public administration major. So the topic that I present today as my research plan is about the gender. So uh, based on the background that I have to create, talking about gender, as we know before, gender is one of the most important issue in the world. The problem that occurred in the past assume that women had not the opportunity to play a role in the various fields to limit the independence of a woman. The various gender inequalities that occur in the society, such as gender marginalization, subordinations, violence, and stereotype, are the reason that that we need the gender equality and justice as a form of protection of human rights. Responding about these gender inequalities, the International Organization or United National answered the phenomenon of the gender inequality through an international conference by discussing the issue of women. The goal of this issue is to achieving about the economic and also the social growth and to provide about the protection for human rights without the discrimination against gender, race, nationality, and also the religions. At the fourth conference in the Beijing, generating gender mainstreaming concept. Talking about this gender mainstreaming, uh, following of this concept, Indonesia has also issued various policy regarding gender equality. One of which is Presidential Instruction Number 9 of 2000 concerning about the gender mainstreaming in national development. This also in accordance with the Sustainable Development Goals 2030 in the point number 5. Gender equality that have been implemented in Indonesia includes providing a quota of 30% for women to sit and join the ranks of the government, as well as gender equality in the education sector. One of the sector that in the currently being discussed in the tourism, because why? Because tourism is one of the advantage uh, uh, and a sector that provide a very high income for the country, and one of which is in Indonesia. So, ladies and gentlemen, Bali is one of the world tourism destination. The people in Bali to mostly make a living in the tourism sector. It's become very interesting to see how the social condition occur, especially gender issue and in this division of labor. However, to focus this resupply, it is carry out the scope of tourism, which is based on the community environment. This location was chosen because Bali has acquired a lot of tourism based on community environment, one of which is the Tukatmindu tourism destination. Based on the observation that I have do, I see a gap between what is happening in the field and the administration. Women haven't taken women have taken part and participate, but in the membership structure, there is no woman representation in it. So it is a very interesting to see how the implementation of gender policy and gender equality and scope of community environment based on tourism. So through this background, I choose the title of my research is Gender Mainstreaming in the Community-Based Tourism Study Case in Tukatbindu, Denpasar City. Well, to see about the gender equality that I use, the gender equality parameter in Indonesia, use the gender equality parameter that we know as PKG atau parameter kesetaraan gender that have a 4 indicator. The first one is access. Access is consider how the woman and men obtain information, resource, and the fulfillment of the equal right and equivalent. And the second one is about the participation. To provide the equal opportunities for a woman and also the man in the development. And the third is about control, that women and men are equal in the determining and deciding and getting for a fair treatment. And then the last one is a benefit. The woman and the man get the equal and fair benefits. So the method the method of this research that is included in the type of a qualitative research with a descriptive approach. This research is focused on the policy research to reveal how the implementation of gender mainstreaming into Tukatbindu management. So the technique of determining the informant in this study use the pervasive sampling technique with the data collection technique with the qualitative method our observations, interview, and documentation. So the research expectation that they want to get and understand about how the gender equality has been going up until now. So find a way to realize proper gender equality in accordance with the local social culture and environmental condition. Thank you. So I think this is my presentation and getting to the moderator.
Thank you very much, Permana. Now I would like to invite Pak Rizka to provide your comments or suggestions. Okay, it seems like Pariska is currently away, so I would like to ask Borna to start providing the comments.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, I have a couple of questions and comments that I had before. So you said you had objectives of your study, but then again, I always have to emphasize this strongly, especially when it comes to the research. Do you have clear research questions and hypotheses? It needs to be stated in your study. Then again, you said you're doing a case study. What is the time frame you're studying? So do you have any given time frame? If you're doing case study, this should be also done. And since you're also doing case study, have you established any causal relationships between independent and dependent variables? Do you have them?
So I will try answer this question. So the first one about how the question, I think in my research I have planned to know about how to implement about the gender policy in how to implementation this the policy to manage the tourism destination. And then the second one that I got the data about the problem that I have do the research before, and through the observation I got this one. I think you know. I think enough. Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much. Ibu Intan, you can provide your comments.
Yes, Mana. I do have similar research about community-based research on women's side by trying to define the development strategy of women. But in this case of your study, I do believe you already done the previous research, the pre-research for your background. I would like to ask, what is the main reason why they want to improve in the tourism itself? Is it because the economical reason, or is it because of they want to improve the women on your case?
Okay, thank you for the question.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, in the case, I have to focus to see about how the gender focus on the woman can get about to participant, to get about the position also, because in in the location that I see about the woman have to be developing about this tourism, but on the administration, on the structure, we not find about how the woman representation in there. So I want to see about why this one like that.
Because this is only suggestion, Parmana. If the reason the woman has participated in the tourism itself is because economic, it means they are not involved themselves yet. So it's a kind of hard to count the parameter of the gender if they're not joining the tourism itself, because they realize that they have a power, they have something to explore, they have their own ability, and they would like to enlarge the tourism in Bali. Because if the reason is economical, it means it's far away of gender itself. It's only space. Maybe it could add more literature review on your study. For your study.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Intan.
Thank you very much, Bu Intan. Now, Pak Ariska.
Yeah.
Yes, please
Okay.
provide your comment.
I have trouble with my internet connection, but well said. This is very wonderful project. Believe done. I just want to know that you use three terms. First one is the gender, according to reasons. I want to in case object you then try to combine these three definitions into a proper research projects. I mean, this is such kind
Ariska, we cannot hear you well.
Okay, I continue. I will Beli Putu heard me. Are you hearing me?
Now we can hear you.
Are you hearing me?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, what I want to know is about the method of your research. Do you want to use the cause and effect? Do you want to use the cause and effect or effect and cause in your research project? That's the first question. The second one, you mentioned about the case study, but as I do believe that there are many type of case of the study. If you read book Gehring, for instance, there are 9 types of case study. So what kind of type of case study that you want to explore in your research? That's all I think. That's two of my questions.
Okay, so I will try answer this question. The first one, so I want to see about the effect about the policy, gender equality or gender mainstreaming in the tourism destination, about the effect about this policy that implement in this tourism destination. And then the second one, what kind that I want to see in this research. So I would like to see about how we can to give the occasion for the woman to be get their position in structure, and also to have a more contribution in managing this tourism destination like this.
Any other comments? If there's no more comments, then we can move on to the next presenter. Thank you very much, Permana. Now we are going to move to Hasbi Siddiq. You may present your research now. Pak Hasbi?
Yeah, thank you very much, moderator. You hear me?
Yes, we can hear
you. Allow me to share screen. Okay. Sorry, could you see my screen? Hello, I get unstable connection here.
Do you need my help to share your screen? To share your presentation?
Yes, okay, no problem.
Okay. I'm sorry, do you need my help to share your presentation?
Yeah, okay, yeah,
Okay.
please.
Okay, wait for a second, please.
Yep.
Okay, now it's ready.
Okay, thank you. Okay, good morning to those joining from Fern University and Zagreb University, and good afternoon, Warmadewa University and Lampung University. Thank you for coming today. I'd like to quickly introduce myself. I'm Hasbi Siddiq from International Relations Department, Faculty of Social Science and Politics at Universitas Lampung. Okay, I'd like to this opportunity to talk about my research proposal entitled Religious Actor Approach on Global Climate Change Response through Nahdlatul Ulama and Muhammadiyah Religious Group as a religious group. Okay, could see next, Miss Yaya, please. Okay, I begin my background by stating the definitions. Okay, sorry. My talk this morning or afternoon is divided into 4 sections. The first one is introductions, consists of global climate change and Nahdlatul Ulama and Muhammadiyah. And then I'm going to describe about my literature review. The third is conceptual framework, methodology, and conclusions as a final parts. Okay, please next. Okay, thank you. I begin my background by stating the definition of climate change. As you see, climate change, which is attributed directly or indirectly to human activity that alter compositions of global atmosphere, which is addition to natural climate variability observed people over a comparable period of time. Okay, so as you can see here, there is a scientific video about global warming from 2080 to 2020, but I do believe we have not enough time. Maybe it's not it will not present here, but I would say that there are also scientific consensus about global climate change. It's supported by 18 American scientific associations and 200 global scientific organizations, of course, from IPCC. You see, IPCC is Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. This is a UN body aiming to provide state of knowledge of climate change. So, how about state of global climate change? Or we say, how about climate change impact? I type a link here in the presentation slides, but you could see that there are so many negative impact of global climate change, such as a sea level rise, hurricane more stronger and intense, drought and heat waves, frost-free season will lengthen, temperatures rise, global warming. So in Indonesia, predictably that we will lose more than 2,000 islands in 2030. So, and you could see there are so many transboundary haze pollutions, land clearings, illegal logging, and other destructive event, which is could potentially affect global climates. Okay, please next. So, how global climate change responds? This is the second part of my introductions. In general, there are two model response, namely adaptation and mitigations. The first one relates to preparation and adjustment action to changing climate conditions, and mitigation is associated to reduce the amount of speed of future climate change by limiting or removing carbon dioxide from atmosphere. Both of these could be considered as complementary strategies, but I would like to step more detail. How current climate change responds. So, as you see, in the first cluster, I identify actors as a one approach of a form of response in climate change. You see, there are UNFCCC, that is a nation states groups, consists of many countries in the world. UNFCCC is a UN body, United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. So at the actors levels, you could see also C40s. This is subnational level, and yeah, you see LG aspect, and then we could see NGOs as an actor in climate change response, such as Greenpeace, WALHI, and Earth Justice. And undoubtedly, there is a Toyota, Unilever, or a company as an example of MNC or TNCs as actor in response to global climate change. And I don't know if you know who she is, Greta Thunberg, a teenager and activist in a global climate actions. So the first ones, global climate change, I identify actors. And the next one is a perspective in economic and technique. These two perspectives is, as you know, that current approach on climate change is dominated by economic and engineering perspective, while we know that climate change politics consequence beyond both of approach. So when we are talking about an engineering perspective or an economic perspective, for an example, in engineering perspective, people talk about what the economic impact of climate change. Some people say about insurance. Extreme weather will cost maybe 8.1.870 billion. This is based on the private sumber, private resources. Sorry, and immigrations. It could cost nations, and Yeah, you know, climate change creates mass migrations around the world. So people living flooded coastline and then move to another area because of global climate change. So in global climate change response, so much dominated by perspective of economic and engineering. And then the third one is value. So what is dominant value in global climate change response? And as I do my research, I found that secularism or secularization theory become the dominant net value in global climate change approach. In fact, around 80% of world populations affiliated to religious belief. It based on Pew Research Center 2012, sorry. So how about global climate change next? We know that there is interfaith declaration on climate change. They stated it strongly. And after I discuss about global climate change, what is global climate change is, and how people are approach, which is use it to respond this global climate change. So next I go to Indonesia. Please. Okay, you see, NU and Muhammadiyah. NU or Nahdlatul Ulama and Muhammadiyah are the two biggest Islamic groups in Indonesia. NU, a religious group respecting to local and traditional culture, and you can see that they have more than 100 million members in living rural areas, and they also have 14,000 pesantren or dormitory Islamic schools, and then 48,000 elementary schools, 31 universities, and others. And how about Muhammadiyah? You see that Muhammadiyah has 67 pesantrens or dormitory schools, 80 hospitals, and more than 10,000 schools, 171 universities, and more than 4,500 branches of human organizations around Indonesia. And what this group do in dealing with global climate change? So I would say that NU and Muhammadiyah have declared to get involved in issue of climate change in 2020, in 2010 and 2015. They established Lembaga Penanggulangan Bencana dan Perubahan Iklim or Disaster Relief and Climate Change Agency. And then Muhammadiyah set up Muhammadiyah Disaster Management Center. Furthermore, both of groups have been involving in shaping climate change disaster regulation in Indonesia and published book, poster, and booklet regarding climate change. And how about their behavioral politics? We see that Muhammadiyah and NU have mobilized climate programs and who has advocated some policies in province and local level, caring for 1,000 water spring program and eco pesantren for 26 pesantren. On the other hand, Muhammadiyah has planted more than 1 million mangrove, scout action on climate change, conducting environment and climate change thematic through curriculum in their universities. So this group also have cooperated with some projects and agreement with international organizations such as UNDP, USAID, Islamic Review, MISMDER, or Bill and Melinda Gates, Asian Muslim Charity, and others. So NU and Muhammadiyah also become main actors for Indonesia moderate Muslim diplomacy and influence Indonesian foreign policy actually in international context. So that is this group too. Next, objective. So I have three objectives here. The first one is explore how intersections of religion and secularism in Indonesia, particularly in climate change response. And the second, explore how politics of FBO, faith-based organizations, Nahdlatul Ulama and Muhammadiyah regarding climate change in Indonesia. And the third one, explore on why we need or no need this group involvement in dealing with climate change, as this problem require multiple level and multiple actors contributions. And then in literature review about climate change and religion approaches, I have identified three main literatures. The first one is Religionis Vernacular. As you know that this address about knowledge and response on climate change, which is created within a religious understanding and cultural basis. And then the secondly is Commitment of Religious Actor on Climate Change Politics. This approach is used to explain how preference and claims about climate change is mostly influenced by a particular religious evaluations. And then finally, a religious actor response on climate change in national and international context. This is address how global issues or global problems is addressed by religions groups. Okay, this next please. Based on literature review and related to my objective, I then assume that this is my potential conceptual frameworks. The first one, I'm talking about secularisms and functionalism theory. You know, secularisms, religion will decline and disappears. And yeah, the prominent thinker in social science supported this perspective. And then when we see a functionalism theory, this is a tool used by key actors to achieve their goals. So religion is only a tool to achieve your target. And then I also states about political process associated with modernizations. You can see that some people believe that modernization will decline religions through urbanization, literacy and education's growth of modern states, science and technology and others. And I also stated that global climate change governance, when we're talking about global climate change, it's need to fully understand their levels. We have to know about global context and then also a national context. And a final concept that I consider is religions. You know, religion seeks to understand origin, nature of reality using a set of answers. And then I would like to explore by using concept of religious identity, religious institution and political resource mobilizations, and then religious legitimacy, religious belief, and codification of this belief. So that is my potential conceptual framework. And finally, finally, methodology and conclusion. Yep, methodology and conclusion. This research will be conducted in qualitative framework and using computer-assisted qualitative data analysis, NV4. I'm using NV4 tools. And primary and secondary source will be obtained from NU and Muhammadiyah leaders, and then from research and development of NU and Muhammadiyah groups. I also use methods such as interview, survey, and observations as research instruments to approach these sources. and all kind of data that could be probably text, video, and audio records will be coding and in vivo softwares. So furthermore, all types of coding, yeah, all data will be code first cycle and second coding, and be imprinted and analyzed to produce religious actor model regarding climate change response. And yep, conclusions. I assume that future climate change approach lies in religious climate actor approach. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Hasbi. And now I would like to invite Pak Aritska to provide your comments or suggestions.
Okay, thank you very much, Mbak Yaya. Pak Hasbi, this is also wonderful projects, and I believe this will be for your PhD proposal, isn't it, Pak Hasbi? Hello, Pak Hasbi.
Yep. Yes.
Yeah.
You're right,
Okay. Thank you, Pak Hasbi. So my concern is about you have wonderful topic of research, I think, because as we know that the issue of climate change, the issue of disaster management is always becomes the main roles of the secular society. You know, and then when it comes to your research, you try to blend with what is the role of the religious institution that can be played in this context. I think this is such kind of good novelty for your PhD project in the future, but I just give some a few suggestions to you to make that your proposal will be workable and will be more realistic in the way that you only have 3 until 4 years study for your PhD. So the first one is about okay, I glad that you want to use NVivo as your tool of analysis, but you have to ensure that NVivo is just a software. Then you have to make your, or you have to build your own analytical framework for your research. So this my first suggestion. I think you have to blend it from your theoretical approach that you want to use, then you can create your own analytical frameworks. And NVivo is just helping us to organize the data and to just a little bit giving us to analyze the data as well. So the second one is about what is your research position, because this is very important, as I believe that you are Muhammadiyah member. Is it correct? Am I correct, Pak Hasbi? So the research position is also important because when you are dealing with this kind of research, you have to analyze your own organization. Then how you make sure that you will provide a balanced analysis when it comes you want to make a two analysis from 2 different kind of religious institution. As we know that Muhammadiyah and NU is relatively having different point of view in looking Islam. The first one is really traditional Islam, and the second one is the modernist one. So in terms of this context, I think you have to bear in your mind also about your research position. I afraid that you cannot make a very fair judgment on Muhammadiyah because you are a member of Muhammadiyah. That's my second suggestion. The third suggestion is about I think you can read post-secularism point of view by Jürgen Habermas. It will help you to analyze your research context, I think, because Jürgen Habermas provide a good argument on what kind of post-secular society can do, what is the role of the religious can do in the context of a secular point of view. So that is my suggestion, Pak Hasbi. Well done. Good luck for your PhD. Thank you very much, Yaya.
Thank you very much, Pak Ariska. And now I would like to ask for Borna to provide your comments.
Well, I would agree with Ariska here. And Viva is great for coding, especially textual content, like political texts and things like that. So you need to give us something, tell us something more about your research framework. You say you're actually comparing two types of Islamic organizations, one of which you're a member of. So are you actually using a comparative study approach? And if so, if this is the design of your study, are you using the most dissimilar system or most similar system design? Because the design of the study which you actually are going to use, it will greatly affect on your results. And also the design of the study will give you, I have a question. How are you actually then choosing how have you chosen your cases? What are your control variables? How are you actually compensating or managing the possibility of a selection bias? So these are all the things that you need to account for when you're doing actually this type of research.
Pasmi, do you have any comments? Pak Hasbi, I think you're still muted.
Okay, thank you, Mas Ariska and Borna, ya. Okay, yeah, the first one I would say declare that yes, I'm not member of Muhammadiyah, but yeah, I have graded, I completed my undergraduate degree in Muhammadiyah University, but my wife is from Nahdlatul Ulama now, so yeah, it's combinations here. Okay, the second one about from Borna, comparative system design variable. Yeah, I know. I approached two different groups. So would I adopt the same design resets or not? For the first one, I right now perhaps to convince myself to explore more details about literary review, more complex. So, and then I could decide how the final research designs that I choose. So thank you for Mr. Ariska that just suggest me to read Habermas. Yeah, in secularisms, I also read Nietzsche and Marx about how they try to avoid religion's constants in governing a society. Yeah, thank you very much.
Okay, Bu Intan, do you have any comments or suggestions for Pak Hasbi?
Okay, thank you, Mbak Yaya. Yeah, Mas Hasbi, I do believe Mr. Ariska and also Mr. Mona is more compatible on your research. But however, I a little bit have a suggestion. First of all, when you try to compare it to making a comparative descriptive about two actors, especially in religious actor, I do believe it's a kind of a nice example between Nahdlatul Ulama and Muhammadiyah. But the problem in this research is that you're trying to connect it with the global climate change response, right? And you try to describe the rules of this religious actor. However, I failed to get the information about how big their role if you try to compare it between the religious actor and the environmental actor, because in the global climate change response, I do believe the environmental actor is more having a huge roles, and it's more interesting when you're trying to make a comparison between the two example of the global environmental actor rather than the religious actor. So I do believe in your background, you need to emphasize more that this two kind of religious actor has the rules on it, and it still needs to be showing up more. I think that's all my suggestion. Thank you very much.
Pak Hasbi, any last comments before we move on?
Okay, thank you very much, Mbak Intan, for your suggestions. This is not usual people do. Yeah, I know global climate change is dominated by perspectives, secularism perspective, and then we are talking about religious group. But thank you for your advice. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pak Hasbi, for the presentation. And now we are going to move to the last presentation of the day. I'm going to invite Philip Barisik to present your research. Philip, the time is yours.
Thank you, Yaya, for inviting me. Let me just share my screen. Yes. Can you see it?
Yes.
Okay, good. So, as you already introduced me, my name is Filip Barisic, and I'm here to hold a lecture on a topic under name use of artificial intelligence for the purpose of providing a cybersecurity service. Well, this lecture will be held mostly from a policy perspective, as we cannot, it is inevitable to talk about this specific topic without technology perspective, but we will mainly focus on policy one. Shortly, introduction and content of this lecture is, well, first of all, I will start my introduction to say why this specific topic is more and more important, and what are the facts that are that are contributing to this importance. Then afterwards, I will continue with cybersecurity policy and the relevant state of the art at the moment of development of such policy. Then artificial intelligence policy, which is a pretty new one, and where are we with the development of this kind of policy. And at the end, I will also mention cybersecurity specific issues for artificial intelligence and what are the main perspectives when we are talking about cybersecurity issues in this area. Afterwards, at the end, I will make point exactly conclusions and potential problems for future work and future research. Well, during the COVID-19 pandemic, we definitely noticed an accelerated digitalization trend. What is important to say at this point is that digitalization trend is not something new. So it did not happen. It did not start with the start of COVID-19 pandemic. It was only accelerated. So COVID-19 pandemic actually accelerated already existing trends. It did not invent new ones. For example, we had, as one of our colleagues, Mario Press, already today mentioned, work from home and even larger and larger digital surface where we are working, talking, corresponding, and so on. After the major digitalization trend that occurred during the COVID-19 pandemic, the increase in cybersecurity occurred as a consequence during the pandemic. And also another point is a significant increase in research, development, and application of artificial intelligence. Also important here to mention is that the history of research and development of artificial intelligence is not from 2010s, from actually last 10 years. This is a second wave actually of large investments in artificial intelligence. We had the first huge investment trend, but it collapsed, well, unfortunately, in 1960s, 1970s, and afterwards we had let's say AI winter during until the 2010s. Still, human being is still the most vulnerable part of the system. That's important to say, because technology always mostly continues with the trends. We follow trends from technology perspective, but human beings, the people who are using digital systems, are usually the most vulnerable, the weakest part of digital systems. Also, from the perspective of European Union, we have European Cybersecurity Agency, or different specific name is another name, European Networking and Information Security Agency, as a specific agency for cybersecurity area. And I did use these documents that are published from this agency as most relevant ones when I'm studying cybersecurity policy issues. Founding of Special Committee on Artificial Intelligence in a Digital Age. It was founded 1 year ago. I don't know the exact date, but it was in 2020, so it is pretty young special committee as part of European Parliament, and it was founded by European Commission. So European Union is actually she sees artificial intelligence as a crucial technology that will have an immense impact on our everyday life in future. For considering cybersecurity policy, I managed to take 3 main documents that set the framework for cyber policy in the European Union. And these are definitely cybersecurity strategy, an open, safe, and secure cyberspace. It actually sets the framework, the most relevant parts of digital area where we are deploying and developing cybersecurity. Also, one of our, I cannot say actually revolutionary documents is definitely, when we are talking about European Union legislative, it is General Data Protection Resolution. And why it is important is because it definitely defines the way how we operate with data. And data is, let's say, what is petrol for automobile, data is for artificial intelligence models. So without data, without big data, we don't have successful artificial intelligence models. And lastly, Network and Information Security Directive. This particular directive sets 3 and describes 3 areas. It sets national capabilities, international cooperation between European states members, and supervision of critical infrastructure. So we are talking about infrastructure such as energy, banking, health, water, etc. Also talking about Republic of Croatia and its cybersecurity policy as part of European Union. Republic of Croatia deployed its own cybersecurity strategy and ratified, important to mention, GDPR and NIS directives. So Republic of Croatia is following European trends considering cybersecurity policies. Also, we have sometimes, especially when we are translating from English to Croatian, I also found 1 or 2 papers, scientific papers considering this matter, a problem of common vocabulary and common understanding of the diverse terms. Also, GDPR, it is important to say, GDPR establishes security as a principle when processing personal data in Article 5. So general data is GDPR directive is considering security, and therefore cybersecurity matters and it establishes them. So establishes cybersecurity matters when we are talking. It is important to say when we are talking about cybersecurity policy. Also, artificial intelligence policy is a pretty new area. As I already mentioned, and my last point on this slide is special committee in European Parliament, yes. And the main point of this special committee is to standardize this particular area in near future and in the future, as long as we will need this particular technology in our everyday life. So standardization is a big problem, and we need to solve it however we know it. I found some paper about considering artificial intelligence policy to show that this area is already let's say developed on the European Union perspective. So we have white paper on artificial intelligence, which is the front runner to upcoming policy initiatives on the technology. I also found document named Coordinated Plan on Artificial Intelligence. And also important, the new Security Union strategy underlined the relevance of artificial intelligence. The new Security Union strategy was published and ratified in 2020, so 1 year ago. It is pretty new one. Also, ENISA published 2 publications considering risks and benefits of artificial intelligence. These are definitely one is pretty important. It says it investigates threat intelligence considering artificial intelligence, and the another one is one of the main contributions of artificial intelligence will be definitely there will be definitely autonomous vehicles in the future. And that's the topic of another publication that was published by ENISA agency. Also, one of the main think tanks, independent think tanks in Europe, the Center for European Policy Studies, is following this matter closely, and it has already published a few documents, a few publications considering this area, artificial intelligence, and its dependence on cybersecurity and backward cybersecurity of artificial intelligence. At last topic I would like to discuss is actually artificial intelligence and cybersecurity, its interdependence. So to develop specific controls for questioning AI security, 3 dimensions may be identified. We have cybersecurity for AI, as it is important to protect data manipulation, data breach, and so on. So we also need cybersecurity for data for artificial intelligence. Then artificial intelligence to support cybersecurity. It is also important, and as I noticed, AI can also be a great tool for enhancing the effectiveness of firewalls, operations and security controls, supporting law enforcement activities, investigations. We can also use it for biometric access. For example, credit card, debit card access, and so on. And thirdly, malicious use of AI. So cyber criminals are definitely known for using of new technologies, and artificial intelligence is not different in any kind. So cyber criminals are using AI algorithms or changing the behavior of AI systems to make possible to penetrate in networks, to steal or manipulate data, manage fake social media accounts, etc. And also, as I mentioned, taxonomy and its standardization is pretty important, especially if we are talking about categories like data. So data, as I said, is a main petrol for successful artificial intelligence models. We have models, processes, environment, actors, artifacts. And also, we can say that there are AI lifecycle stage taxonomy. It includes data ingestion. So when we are acquiring data, exploration, pre-processing, model selection. So it is also important what kind of model we can select in the future. And it is all of these taxonomy stages, these notions are important to standardize and let's say correctly and precisely translate when we are translating it to another languages. That's our task for future standardization of this area.
Mr. Philip, can you please? Okay.
Yes,
yeah,
I'm
no worries.
including it. So considering cybersecurity policy, I said we have three main documents: NIS directive, GDPR directive, and cybersecurity strategy. Talking about the Republic of Croatia, she's following Republic of Croatia is following trends, and these are trends. Republic of Croatia ratified all of the relevant documents to its legislative. Artificial intelligence policy. So European Commission recognized the importance of this technology. It will be crucial. It will be mostly relevant in our future, in our everyday life. It founded special committee and bunch of papers that are aware already of significance of AI. And lastly, I would like to conduct in near future specific case studies considering cybersecurity issues for artificial intelligence. I mentioned 3 dimensions to follow to obtain secure artificial intelligence, and also like any other new technology from historical perspective, it has its own risks and benefits. Thank you for listening to me. I'm open for your question, and you are free to ask.
Thank you very much, Philip. Now I'd like to invite Intan to provide your comments or suggestions.
Yeah, because this is the last one. Why don't we give the change to the another participant? Maybe they want to asking something, because this is the last one, right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Sure. No worries. We are inviting all participants. If you have any comments or suggestions for Philip, you're free to wave your hands or directly turn on your mic or write on the chat section. Thank you. Does anyone have any comments or questions or suggestions to Philip?
What I just have one simple question to Philip. We know that the study or the research about cybersecurity is quite ethically have a various problem. I mean, if you are doing a research in terms of if you are doing research about the cybersecurity, we also have to think about the research ethics. That's because you want to analyze the big data, including the personal data of someone, and then how you ensure that the ethically you are not doing something wrong with personal data of another person. So I mean, can you? I mean, I'm not really understand about the cybersecurity, but would you please just let us know how doing cybersecurity in terms of research ethics? Can you please give us some explanation on it, please? Thank you.
Well, when we are considering ethics, it is important to mention that I live in Republic of Croatia, which is a member of European Union community. And as I mentioned this in my lecture, we definitely ratified the GDPR directive. And whatever kind of data I operate, whatever kind of data usage I make, and so on, I must consider and to be accompanied with GDPR. That's the main problem for me. So as long as I am correlated with GDPR, it's okay.
Yeah, you mean that because the Croatia is part of the European Union, when you are dealing with the such kind of cybersecurity research, so you have to get approved from the European Union's cybersecurity command center or something like that. Is it correct, Philip?
If we are considering particular data that is dependent of cybersecurity thematics, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Pak Ariska. If anyone has any comments or questions, then please raise your hands or directly turn on your mic. Otherwise, while we are waiting, maybe, okay, wait a second. There's a question from Mario. Thank you for your interesting presentation. In your opinion, what institution or political body inside the government of Croatia should be responsible for coordination of the policies and activities considering this, or someone else?
Mostly these are national certs communities, and they are mostly responsible for provision of such policies.
Thank you very much. Any other comments or questions? The last questions or comments? Okay.
Because there's nobody, I'm gonna add some simple suggestion. I think you already explained that it's already ratified, right? So why don't you try to having maybe a simple regulation impact assessment and show the implementation in Croatia as a case one case mentioning that is maybe booming right now, this is still new. I think in Indonesia artificial intelligence is still something, not everybody use it, especially for the big data, because we do realize that big data is important right now, but the ethical side is a bit hard to use on it in Indonesia. But maybe you could explain more if you tell us one cases in Croatia, for example, and such of that. That's it for me. Thank you, Philip. Good luck.
Thank you for your question. I don't have a specific artificial intelligence cybersecurity problem so far in Croatia, but there are a bunch of cybersecurity issues that are not mainly correlated with artificial intelligence. And I already have a bunch of these. For example, we had DDoS attack, I think it was 1 year ago, on our main INA company. It is, let's say, a national petrol organization in the Republic of Croatia. So there are a bunch of such attacks, data breaches, and so on and so on. But artificial intelligence as a technology that was used for cybersecurity issue right now from the perspective of the Republic of Croatia, I don't have that information so far.
Thank you very much, Philip. Borna, do you have any questions or comments?
Philip, you've mentioned a lot of documents, mostly official documents, whether being European Union documents or Croatian documents, and probably some sort of think tank documents. My question is, have you actually considered doing, when we have mentioned in Vivo earlier, qualitative content analysis by using some sort of qualitative analytical software to, I don't know, to compare all these documents, to see what are the main themes and things like that. And maybe after comparing it, seeing what is lacking and giving some sort of policy recommendations or things like that.
Of course, thank you for your question, Bona. Of course, this is definitely preliminary research state, and I should and I will in my future work correlate and also read and see differences and the same points in, for example, two cybersecurity strategies from the European Union and from the perspective of the Republic of Croatia. And then we have to see if they are similar in some points, if they are different in some points, of course. yes, it is important, and then we can make specific qualitative conclusions out of this research, of course.
Thank you for your answer.
Thank you very much, Borna, and thank you very much, Philip. I think
Thank you, Yaya.
with the time has come to for us to conclude the master and doctor colloquium for today, as we are already entering the last phase of the summer school 2021. Now we are going to embark on the last program, which is the closing ceremony. And for closing ceremony, we will have my colleague, Robert, to have us, to guide us for the closing ceremony. Robert, the time is yours.
Thank you, Yaya. Thank you very much to all specialists and doctoral students for presentations. And of course, thank you very much to our colleagues, professors who made the comments regarding the presentations. Right now, before the closing ceremony, I just want to say a few words regarding our third summer school. We have completed another very successful online summer school. We are listed third in the row. After the first physical one, which was held in the Badar Lampung and Denpasar, the COVID-19 pandemic, we were forced to hold online summer school last year and this year. It is not easy to organize a summer school on 2 different continents and 3 different time zones. So many thanks to everyone who was organizing this year's summer school. This year's summer school was made up of 3 parts. The first day we had the opening ceremony where the leaders of our 4 universities welcomed our collaboration and said that they give us support in what we are doing. After them, we had a keynote session where the Minister of Foreign Affairs and European Affairs of Croatia and Ambassador of Republic of Indonesia to Croatia emphasized the importance of cooperation and encouraged us to further activities. During the second day, we had a total of 20 presentations by scientists from 4 universities and from the Croatian Military Academy, the Franjo Tuđman. The third part was upgraded of the program for this year's summer school in the form of additional presentation by specialized and doctoral students who presented the topics of their research, and professors gave them advice on how to continue their research. In this 3-day summer school, show us our commitment to continue cooperation during the difficult times. So thank you to all of you. Thank you so much. We believe that COVID-19 pandemic is coming to the end and that we will be able to turn to the normal way of life, which will include mutual visits and the organization of the next 2022 summer school in physical form in Croatia. Finally, I want to thank to all of you who were present at the third online summer school. With thanks goes to the dear colleagues Ari, Unang, and Yaya, and especially I need to praise Yaya, who was this year.
Robert, I'm sorry, you are currently in mute.
Sorry, I was muted. Oh.
Only the last 1 minute, 2 minutes.
Okay. Then I will repeat the last 1 minute of my speech. Okay, on the end of this 3-day summer school show our commitment to continue cooperation during the difficult times. Thank you to all of you regarding to that. We believe that the COVID-19 pandemic is coming to the end and that we will be able to turn on to the normal way of life, which will include mutual visits and the organization of the next 2022 summer school in physical form in Croatia. Finally, I want to thank to all of you who were present at this third summer school. The great thanks goes to the dear colleagues Ari, Unang, and Yaya, and especially I need to praise Yaya, who was this year's engine and good spirit of preparation and implementation of the summer school. So thank you all. Terima kasih banyak. Thank you very much. And right now we can continue with closing ceremony. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Robert. Already joining us in this meeting are some representatives from several universities that are involved in this year's summer school. First of all, I would like to invite Mirella Holly that will speak in the name of Director of Fern University. Mirella, time is yours.
Thank you, Yaya. Dear colleagues, on behalf of Director of Fern University, I would like to thank you for another wonderful cooperation. We hope that this cooperation will continue in the future and that we, as one of the Croatian partners in this project, will have the opportunity to host you at the next summer school. For the very end, I will cite George Bernard Shaw, who said, "We are all dependent on one another. Every soul of us on earth." I will conclude that only cooperation can make us successful in resolving global crises like this pandemic and climate change. In this sense, Fern University is committed to this collaboration from which we all learn and develop. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you very much, Mirella, for the kind words and also very encouraging. And next, I'm going to invite the Dean of the Faculty of Political Science of Zagreb University, Associate Professor Andrea Henjak, PhD. Professor, the time is yours.
Thank you very much. Give me just a second so that I can start my camera because, let's see, okay. And it's on, excellent. Well, thank you very much for inviting me to say a few words at the end of this summer school. Robert is my very dear colleague and I will happily support any activity that he is involved in. And I would like to congratulate you all on the effort that you undertook. And since this is well, the end of a couple of days of intensive work, I won't hold you for long. If I understood well, the next summer school will be organized in Croatia, right? So I can assure you that the Faculty of Political Science will give its best support. By that time, we should ourselves be out of our building, but all our people and all our employees will do their best to assist in the organization of summer school. And I wish you all the best and a lot of success in your future endeavors and in the next year summer schools. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Associate Professor Andrea Henjak. And now I would like to invite Colonel Maring Perkik in the name of Croatian Military Academy.
Oh,
Colonel, the time is yours.
Yesterday all day I tried to join you, I didn't succeed. So now I got opportunity on behalf of our commander at least to say farewell words on this conference. So on his behalf, I can tell that we will probably continue to participate in this format. I only learned about that you started several years ago, and because of the COVID pandemic, we didn't host you, but we will try to do it next year together with our colleagues from the Faculty of Political Science. For me, I was outside of Croatia. Yesterday, I tried to present something about, I was in the US in their command military perspective of not policy making perspective, but analyst perspective of the world we are living in. This week was full of exciting political meetings here in Europe. I tried to talk about Americans changing their strategies. They are not seeing any more counterterrorism and counter insurgency as first topic. Now they are great power competition. We are talking about that. I tried to say something about China and Russia. They didn't recognize in their strategy, they recognized them as something very important in the future, but they didn't recognize them yet as in the cooperative environment. I will not talk about my presentation yesterday. I'm sorry that I didn't succeed to talk about that. I'm talking about that because in the 6 years ago, all my where I encountered Indonesian was here. We got here. I was one of the organizers of the security conference about in that time environment, contemporary environment, security environment. In 2015, and we got a distinguished guest from Indonesia. It was Vice Admiral from the National Defense Institute. Now it is National Resilience Institute. The name is Lemhanas. I'm not sure that I'm pronouncing that good. That topic was mostly about ISIS. Now we are changing the world. That is what I'm trying to say, that military now is some different environment. NATO is, from their original position from the North Atlantic, moved first in the Middle East, where I have been several times, and now we're moving slowly to the Pacific. So I don't know how it's going to finish in the future. Also my encounter with Indonesia, I will say only word Garuda. I know that I don't know what it, because I was serving together with Garuda contingent in the Lebanon. It was already 7 and 8 years ago. It was a very nice experience. I hope that we will continue cooperation. I'm sorry that really that I didn't yesterday succeed. I'm still receiving Google. I forgot that I was in military environment. Google warnings about try to join you. That's my words.
Thank you very much, Colonel. And now I'm going to invite the Vice Dean of the Faculty of Social and Political Science of Universitas Lampung, Dr. Arief Sugiono. Dr. Arief, time is yours.
Thank you, Yaya. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Tabi pun, Honorable Rector of University of Zagreb, Rector of Von University and Rector of Warmadewa University Denpasar, Honorable Head of Croatian Military Academy, Honorable the Vice Rector for Cooperation and Planning of University of Lampung, Dean of the Faculties of Social and Political Sciences from Zagreb University, Von University, and University of Warmadewa Denpasar, Bali, Indonesia. Professor, lecturers, and students from both Croatia and Indonesia, participants of this summer school, and ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I would like to express our apology that our Dean is now attending emergency meeting in the university. So I'm speaking on behalf of the Dean of the Faculty of Social Science, University of Lampung. Ladies and gentlemen, furthermore, I would like to express my particular thanks to the Faculty of Social and Political Sciences of Warmadewa University for successfully hosting this event. It is indeed such a great event of cooperation that is not easily to be carried out. This joint summer school is a program among universities in Croatia and Indonesia that has been initiated and implemented since 2019, I think. In 2019, our friends from Croatia visited Indonesia. We had a very great cooperation, held many courses taught by our colleges from University of Zagreb and Von University. Due to COVID-19 pandemic, the joint summer school in 2020 was held through online platform in which we should have visited Croatia instead. And again, this online platform is repeated from 2021. So for almost 3 years, we have been doing various academic activity in both offline and online. We note that this Indonesia-Croatia International Joint Online Summer School 2021 should be seen as a part of our duties to think, discuss, and formulate smart solutions based on the broader social science perspective. In the past, we involved merely from the lens of international relations and communication discipline. But this year, we also invite lecturers from Department of Sociology, Business Administration, Government Science Department. Institutionally, this year is more fruitful for us than both the 2019 and 22 cooperation. I would like to emphasize that it is essential for us to have a stronger cooperation in the future, especially in looking for more generous fund for research and publication, cooperation or doctoral student supervision, for joint seminar and workshop, as well other possibilities. We also hope that next year, once the pandemic is over, we will be able to visit Croatia for the continuation of our cooperation. Finally, I would also like to address my particular thanks to the Ambassador of the Republic of Indonesia to the Republic of Croatia, His Excellency Mr. Sahruddin Jainal Abidin Pagaralam, and also Minister of Foreign and European Affairs of the Republic of Croatia, His Excellency Mr. Gordon Grlic Radman, for giving their keynote lectures. Also, thank you to Head of Croatian Military Academy and the Ambassador of the Republic of Croatia to the Republic of Indonesia, His Excellency Mr. Nebojša Kaharovic, who have both keenly supported this event. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Nice to meet you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much, Dr. Arief Sugiono. And now the last concluding concluding remark, I would like to invite the representative from the host this year, from Warmadewa University, Madewi Mas Chandra Negara, in the name of the Dean of the Faculty of Social and Political Science. Madewi Mas, the time is yours.
Thank you, Ms. Yaya. Honorable Rector of Van University, Professor Vlatko, PhD, Commander of Croatian Military Academy, Dr. Franjo Tuđman, Dean of the Faculty of Political Science of Zagreb University, Associate Professor Andrea Henjak, PhD, and Dean of the Faculty of Social and Politics, Lampung University, Dr. Ida Nurhaida. Ladies and gentlemen, before we end this year joint online summer school, I'd like to take this opportunity to say, on behalf of the Dean of the Faculty of Social and Politics, University of Warmadewa, congratulations for this successful event. Thank you for everyone who have helped preparing this event and making sure that everything runs smoothly. We are grateful to be part of this collaboration, and we further hope to strengthen this relationship in the future. Hopefully, we can soon see each other in real life. Especially, we are hoping to see all of you in Zagreb in 2022, in next year. Once again, congratulations on this successful event. Thank you. Terima kasih. Matur suksmo. Greeting from Bali.
Thank you very much, Madewi Mas. With the last concluding remark, we are now entering the end of summer school 2021. I would like to convey our thanks and also gratefulness for all participants, all presenters that have joined us from day 1 till day 3. We are really glad to see everyone again this year. And of course, we are hopeful to see you again next year. Thank you very much and see ya. Thank you very much, everyone. For the certificate, it will be sent.
Thank you, Mbak Yaya. Now I can speak because the interview here is already done as well. Just 5 seconds ago, so now I can speak something. Thank you very much, Rujica, and then who is still here? Parvoye, I see your name still here. Robert, of course, Mbak Yaya. Mirella, where is Mirella? Already leave? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, everyone. I'll see you next year.
See you next year in Croatia.
We'll get the certificate to your email as well.
Oh yeah.
Please wait for it. Thank you.
Fuad, you are with Fuad Junior, right?
Yes, right.
Come on, hold him up. Hold him up.
Hello. Okay, thank you all.
See you, everyone. I'm going
Thank
to
you,
make my
thank you
exit.
so
See
much.
ya.
Thank you, Yaya. Thank you to everyone.
Thank you,
Thank you, Mbak
Robert.
Yaya. Thank you, Mbak Yaya, for great coordination.
Everything was perfect. Thank you
Great
so much.
coordination.
Thank you.
Borna,
very
thank you,
much.
Borna. Borna, you are still here.
Okay, I'm going to exit now. Thank you very much, everyone.
Okay,
See ya.
perfect.
I'm going to exit as well. Okay, bye-bye.